So I think as we head into the rest of the month, we've got some active weather setting up. Now, I don't know if you're exactly going to see a snow where you are, but I'll tell you one thing. If you're going to see a chance for it, it may be with this pattern. We've got this huge trough that's going to dig out. That's going to bring some unsettled weather to the east, some rain showers, some big wind, some snow for some areas. And this active weather pattern continues. One thing I'm watching is this polar vortex starting to drop a little bit further to the south. That, to me, looks like a pretty chilly pattern as we start to get toward the end of the month, and it may really get reinforced again in January. So we're going to get into some of those details today. Hey guys, hope you're doing okay. It's time for your daily forecast update. If you're new to the channel, if you're brand new, I'm Travis Roberts. Welcome. I used to be a chief meteorologist on television, but now we're just doing this analysis here on YouTube. If you're a new subscriber, thank you so much for doing it. We've almost pushed 13,000 new subscribers, and thousands of those came in just over the last couple of weeks. So thank you guys so much for coming by. I hope it means you enjoy the content, and I'm just going to keep cranking it out. Here's what we're looking like over the next week or so. I want to back this up and show you this trough that's digging into the east as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. That's going to bring the unsettled weather here. A lot of wind is going to be associated with this system too. So rain could be heavy at times. Some snow could be heavy at times, especially in the parts of eastern Canada. And then we start to see this kind of lift out. As we move into next weekend, we've got a trough that's digging into the west. That's going to bring some unsettled weather here with some rain and snow. And then I want you to notice something. Things here kind of get really amplified. You've got these small troughs and ridges here. It could be quite active. And now as we head toward the 19th and the 20th, I think this means we start to warm up across the west. Your polar vortex here starting to drop in, and now you've got some northwest flow starting to move in for Christmas. Doesn't mean a cold Christmas for the east. I mean, if this were the setup, and I'm going to say if, there's no denying this is cold here for the east. It's fairly warm across the west, save if you get this random upper low here, dropping some snow here into the Rockies. But that's a pretty active and cold pattern. Let's see if it actually comes to pass. Here's what I'm looking at in the short term, though. It's this energy here that's pushing off to the east. We've got our trough digging in. The stronger this is, the deeper it's going to dig, and then it goes negatively tilted, and that's going to bring some rain transitioning to snow. And I want to show you something interesting that the European was printing out as we head into early next week. You've got these two pieces of energy right here. Now, you're going to see what I'm talking about in just a second. These two, at least on the afternoon operational European, is trying to combine to create some snow here for the Northeast as we head into 1 week from today, Monday. So let's see if that happens. I don't know that it does because, look, there's your energy. I'm going to back all this up, track that backwards, and look where this is. I'm trying to follow it. It's way up here southwest of Alaska as of tomorrow afternoon. So this atmosphere is not even being sampled yet by weather balloons. A lot of time to go before we iron that out. In the short term, though, take a look at temperatures on your Tuesday. This is about where you're going to top out. I don't know that you get much warmer than this. You may by a few degrees or two, but either way, the cold air is starting to work its way into the northern plains, into the upper Midwest. Temperatures dropping down into the 20s. Here comes your temperatures into the single digits and below zero as we head into Wednesday morning. And cold air also pushing down into Texas. Now, it's not quite as active across the south, at least Texas, Louisiana. A lot of that cold air really hasn't intruded here just yet, and you can kind of see how it's going to set up again, more like this. So even into parts of Colorado, we're in the 30s and 40s. Head northeast into Nebraska, and you're in the teens and 20s and single digits up here into Iowa, even into parts of Minnesota. It could be really cold heading into Thursday morning. Temperatures pushing 20 below here. That's not the wind chill. That's the actual air temperature. Across the east, a bit of a warm up here ahead of our front. Temperatures topping out Tuesday afternoon. How about mid-60s from Pikeville, Kentucky down to Knoxville to Nashville, although Nashville arguably will start to get colder, and then even into parts of eastern Virginia into the Piedmont, mid-70s. I don't know that it makes it up into Jersey, but we might make it into the 50s here. Don't enjoy it too long. It's not going to last. Here comes the cold rushing in from the northwest as temperatures fall on Wednesday, back below freezing from the Appalachians, and then the real cold air is lurking back here. I've talked about this before. You've got the Great Lakes here, and with the warmer waters here, as the cold moves toward Lake Michigan, Lake Superior, look how your temperatures get modified from near or below zero. They cross the lake, and now they're in the teens here. The air mass really isn't changing. It's just moving across the water. It's picking up the moisture. You're getting condensation. That's a warming process on its own, so you're going to get some lake effect snow on that, and also temperatures, relatively warmer on this side of the lake versus your teens below zero back here from Madison over toward even Minneapolis, St. Paul. We should be below zero. Warming up, though, on Thursday afternoon somewhat into the single digits, but we're cold here into the northeast now, back into the 30s and 20s, and then cold pushing all the way into the south as we head into Thursday. Friday morning, a chilly one across the south with temperatures in the 30s, 20s here across the mid-south, and then there's your below zero temperatures continuing, and maybe even into parts of the northeast. We could see single digits to below zero. A different setup here on Saturday. You've got your cold air now kind of wedged down the east side of the mountain. Some warm air starts to work up into the Ohio Valley as we see some return flow starting to develop. But one thing that I don't see, I mean, and again, this is kind of just looking long range here. Yeah, we've got a bit of a warm up here, but you don't see this huge warm up, this strong southwest flow that just blow torches into the Great Lakes. If anything, one would argue we kind of got a cold weather pattern setting in for a while. And with the cold in the short term comes the potential for some snow. Let's look at the snow and the rain all together here heading through Tuesday morning. Some showers moving through parts of Ohio, Kentucky, some heavy rain possible from Atlanta south into Alabama, even down into southern Mississippi and Louisiana, even a few rumbles of thunder possible here. And then as our front moves through, we'll see a heavy band of rain just to the southeast of that. And now this is where things get interesting. You're starting to see some energy round the trough here, so to speak. Here comes your cold air rushing in from the west. Right there it is. Rain starts to pick up along the coast. It could get heavy at times here too. Winds start to get really strong here, and now we start to see some snow break out on the backside of this. So could this put a little bit of snow into Nashville, over to Louisville? Maybe not much, but you might see a few flakes out of this. Over to Columbus, Dayton, maybe a few flakes, and then as this catches up to the system in the east, we start to see the snow break out. Now things start to get a little more negatively tilted. You've got your jet stream winds moving in like this. Mid-level winds start to curve a little bit, so now you're pushing some moisture up over that cold air, and you're getting some interaction with some heavier snow, at least as this ends for parts of eastern Pennsylvania, really here into northeast Pennsylvania, and then into parts of New York, and then into Vermont and New Hampshire. It may actually stay all rain for a lot of Maine into New Hampshire, and then the snow showers behind this into parts of Ohio and into West Virginia. Although accumulations aren't going to be super heavy, we could see a coating back here, a couple of inches here in the mountains, and then the lake effect kicks in. This doesn't look like a massive lake effect snow event. Don't get me wrong, we could see several inches downwind of the lakes, but we're not talking about 4 or 5 feet of snow here. We're talking about maybe up to a foot in some of the heavier bands, 3 to 6, I think, back here, and some heavier bands into parts of Michigan could exceed 6 to 10 inches of snow or so, and then some snow up here into the UP as well. All right, let's talk about what happens after this. This is a bigger picture look here on the GFS. You can see that storm moving into the northeast. There's the snow on the backside of it. Here's cold Canadian high pressure building in, pushing that chilly air all the way down into the Gulf Coast. Across Texas, across the Southwest, I mean, it's kind of quiet back here. Not a lot of weather happening. We've got our next storm, though, moving into the West Coast as we move into Thursday and Friday. That's going to put some heavy snow into Northern California, the Sierra, and that's going to move into the Intermountain West as well. And now we've got more of a westerly flow here off the lakes. You got to watch here. We may go a little bit southwest. That could push that snow band north a little bit up into Buffalo. We'll have to see how all that shakes out. And now moisture returning ahead of our next wave here. That's going to bring some rain here to the south of this line, from Missouri down into Texas, north of that into Iowa, up into parts of Wisconsin. There could be some snow, and it might get a little heavy here too on the north side of that. The track of this still to be determined, but the models have been consistent showing this area of low pressure moving through, and this ultimately would be the piece of energy that gives us this weird-looking potential storm into the northeast heading into Sunday and Monday of next week. I'll show you. The GFS doesn't really do anything too crazy, and I'm actually apt to believe this maybe a little more than I am the European, although we still get these little buckles of energy with active weather heading into next week. This is the European just to show you side by side. There goes our system. This is pretty similar, right? Snow up into Wisconsin, up into Michigan, rain south of that. However, this is a little different looking. High pressure on the European, got some cold air damming happening here. That could put some ice here in the mountains of far western Virginia and parts of West Virginia. And this is where it gets really weird on the European. It tries to develop an area of surface low pressure here. That would cause some rapid deepening here with your trough moving through, and you dynamically cool to get a quick burst of snow. Do I believe this? I don't this far out. I just think it's too far out. And I think that the energy being so far to the west, still west of Alaska right now, it's hard to really pinpoint this, but this is the operational run of the European, just to show you if you want to have a little bit of a dream here into parts of northeast Pennsylvania. I don't think this gets into New York City, even if you believed this. But if you're hoping for a chance, maybe there's a chance. This is just this weird cutoff piece of energy here from the flow. And then temperatures warm back up, they go back down, and then another chance of some snow maybe for the east as we head toward the 21st and 22nd. Across the west, it's kind of quiet right now, just a few snow showers, especially into California, down into parts of Southern California, into Nevada, Arizona, the Four Corners states. Not looking too shabby with high pressure keeping us dry. Things start to change though on Wednesday. The winds will pick up. We'll start to see some rain and snow here into the Cascades, down into the Sierra. Parts of Northern California could get quite a bit of snow out of this, and that moves inland. And then another storm. This one could bomb out off the coast, and that would push an atmospheric river here into the Cascades, into Northern California and the Sierras again. Now, we're talking about quite a bit of snow here. We could see over 2-3 feet of snow if this comes to pass through next week, really about Sunday into Monday here into Northern California, down into the Sierra, and little lesser amounts up here into the Cascades if that moisture plume indeed does really get funneled here into Northern California. All right, let's go beyond this. I want to take you out in time and show you why I think it turns colder and why I think it stays cold. Now, a bit of a warm-up, I think, around the 20th. You've got more of a zonal flow, a bit of a ridge across the west maybe, and then maybe arguably some northwest flow here with a trough in the east. However, this trough, if anything, starts to amplify once we head into the 1st of January. At least the long-range European weeklies are showing this polar vortex here, bit of a ridging across Alaska. This type of pattern would put you cold in the east. All right, and especially with some blocking here just to the east of Greenland. Let's see if all this comes to pass. A long way to go to get there. I am not trusting anything on January 6th. And on these long-term weeklies, we're not looking at storms. We're looking at patterns. And to me, this looks cold heading into January. That's all I got. Take it or leave it. See you next time.